All right, let's do a quick little sound check. Ooh, red bar went all the way up. That's interesting. It doesn't normally do that. Hopefully I'm not too loud coming through, but we'll see. Mm, 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 mm. Loud and clear. Cool. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I was trying to find a meme. Something along the lines of, the pound is being knocked out, but I couldn't find a good one. Anyway, let's just jump in the night. I actually have to bolt right at 10 o'clock today. Um, so, Monday. Normally Mondays it's pretty slow. As you guys all know, we had Brexit last Friday, and we were waiting to kind of see what was happening. Basically what happened is all kinds of just unbelievably just the pound just fell right through the floor. As well as again, looking down into the news, you guys can see that I love this. China, the U.S. should refrain from overreacting on virus outbreak. It's like, yeah, okay. Um, just funny, right? But basically, China and the UK just I don't know who's slugging off or who was the weakest today, but those two have basically been going crazy. China has talked about putting liquidity back into their market, putting all this stuff back in. Yeah, they're in trouble. Yeah, they're kind of in trouble right now. And then again, the pound. I think this is a little bit of an over exaggerated kind of response, but whatever. It just gives us opportunity. Now, with that being said, okay, with that being said, let me bring one thing across before we dive into that. And again, for the weekly report, guys, one of the things and one of the reasons why we do the weekly report is it talks about the weekly curve location. Now, a lot of you ask questions about the curve and why I use it and what it's for. What it's meant to do is give you kind of an idea of which way we should be leaning. Okay, and one thing that I want to point out in here is you guys can see basically everything pound related minus the Swiss, which was a medium, was marked high. Okay, so we're basically looking for these things all to be in bearish / shorting positions. Okay, well, you guys know what happened for today. Bam, down. Bam, down. Basically, everything across the board, the pound got slaughtered. Okay, and that's why we have this report up here. What it's meant to do, and again, if you're not using it correctly, it's meant to show you where the bias is going to be in what direction, where we're really looking for some bit of movement. And again, that should be our bias for the entire week. Okay, typically you don't have it work all in one day, but again, we'll have to go back and reassess these and kind of maybe I'll update them. But that's why I had this out, and that's why it's important to check these out on Sunday nights, is to figure out where we are on the curve. Okay, where should I be thinking where do I, where would I be wanting to, what would I want to do? Should I be looking to go long? Should I look looking to go short? That's why we have these. Okay, now with that being said, okay, that's that. I'll close this one out. Here was the Sunday night positions. Okay, you will also notice that we had this one for a short, this one for a short, this one for a short, this one for a short. Pound dollar just didn't come back up and touch. It actually made it about halfway back to its gap before it just collapsed. And pound CAD did the same exact thing. Okay, this one again, long signal here. And again, this is based off of the curve and the different entries. All right, so again, that's why I had that report. That's why this is in there. Okay, you guys should be following this. And there was actually the Euro New Zealand actually should have been down here, but again, I was playing the gap on it, not the actual. It was actually on a lower time frame. So by the time I was able to kind of get it up there, it basically had already invalidated itself. It'd gone lower, but it should have been a long position. So this total should have actually been a higher. It should have been more than 106 this weekend. But again, this is taking it conservative. Now, did the pound yen move more than 22 pips? Yes. Pound yen moved 187. So are these conservative figures? Wherever I put that thing. I don't even know where I put it now. Did I close it? I may have closed it. Sunday night caps. Okay. Is this a conservative plus 22? Yes. So these things could have went much, much more, but remember, I take these for tracking purposes only based off of 1 to 3s, not as far as they actually went, not the 1 to 5s, not the 1 to 10s. They've all had the ability to do much more than what they actually did. But again, I'm trying to keep these numbers as conservative as possible for you guys. So first week into February, we're only 3 days in, but the first weekend, we're already up 106 pips. All right. So again, last month was 370. This month we're already starting off with a big one at 103. I'm sorry, 106. So worked out pretty well. For the cliff notes. Yep. You're already in the parabolic retracement. Yeah. Yeah. So craziness, right? Craziness. All right. So euro down slightly. Again, that was basically that was off the ISM manufacturing PMI. Pound dollar down 190. Huge move. I mean, that's just absolutely gigantic. Huge. Dollar yen, 14, really nothing big again. Monday, not necessarily surprised. Swiss, again, this is we talked about this last week. Basically, once the Iran situation was dissipating, you would see a lot of the Swiss come back again, or the Swiss basically give up its weakness and the dollar come back up, and it's slowly chugging higher again. Nobody even has heard of Iran at this point. Everybody's so focused on coronavirus, Lyme disease, all that kind of stuff. Dollar CAD again, you can see is up 50 for the day. Aussie basically just completely flat at -4. Euro pound, again, 104, big day for that one as well. And again, that's all pound related. Again, it's that same weakness that we've seen across the board. And then pound yen, 188. Now, again, you know it's a big day when pound yen is less than the pound dollar. Okay? You know it's a big day. So, looking at the news today, again, at 10:30, after chart school, you will have this cash rate. There's not expected to be a change, but the cash rate statement may be something that gives us a little bit of movement. We'll kind of see, again, if we are in any zones, that could be a potential short or long, depending on where we are. I know we were in basically long territory before. We'll see where we go. Look at the news today. You guys can see, again, it's kind of the back and forth. The U.S. should restrain from overreacting. It's like, I don't think it's just the U.S. I'm pretty sure everybody is really kind of anti, so they could, again, you basically released a biological, potential biological weapon on the world. So yeah, I still think sanctions should come in. Um, China is said to seek U.S. flexibility on phase one trade pledges. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. I'll tell you right now, if we give them any type of leeway in this, Trump will lose all his bargaining power, all his bragging rights about getting some type of a trade deal if he suddenly starts to get weak on this one. He has to he has to stick it to China now, or basically they will just roll over and he's not going to get anything he wants. So I would not count on this one. Besides that, everything else is just virus. Just the virus. Virus, virus, virus. The T virus is out. It's going to be Resident Evil all over again. But it is what it is. We all are lucky. We all know Jack. Jack has plenty of masks for us. Not that the masks work. In the forums, there were some funny pictures of other things that people are using for masks, but you guys saw that one. Looking at the scanner. So scanner is obviously going to be a little bit funky right now. You guys will see the euro basket is basically an almost pure consolidation, obviously minus the euro pound. Again, we know what's going on with the pound basket. But besides that, everything else is basically in pure consolidation. Okay. Again, no news. Nobody knows what's going on. One person left. Everybody's kind of holding their breath to see what else is going to happen. So remarkably enough, besides the pound, remove that situation here, or that pair from here, everything is basically just kind of flat on the euro. So really not a whole lot setting up. You'd have to go to the lower time frames to be able to find things. And even the lower time frames, you can see we got two little anchor breaks and one confirmed. That's it. So the euro is more or less kind of a dead basket right now. Nothing's really setting up with really no type of catalyst. Looking at tomorrow, what do we have tomorrow? We basically have New Zealand unemployment change at 4:45, and then the RBA speaking at 8:30. So not really too much there. I mean, I think this 8:45 will be a bigger mover than the 8:31 will, based off of what happens with the Chinese manufacturing. So yeah, not a whole lot there. Looking at the majors, looking at this left box over here, you have a downtrend set up, right? And again, we're seeing that the green kind of pull back. You guys are seeing the plus 30, and again, not surprised on that one. You're seeing sideways up confirmed on 4-hour and the 1-hour, so not really surprised there whatsoever. Dollar yen, again, it's kind of the same thing, but you're seeing consolidation on the 4-hour and the 1-hour. And then again, New Zealand, consolidation right now in the daily, one up, one down, one up. Pound, obviously, we know what's going on with that one. Dollar CAD, again, basically dollar strength, up, and then a little bit of down, right? And again, it was up 44 for the day, so that actually wasn't a horrible day for dollar CAD. So again, nothing super, super strong here. These two, the Swiss and the yen, again, not really necessarily surprised. Looking at the CAD basket, you got a couple setups and a couple check marks, meaning confirmed status. The CAD is actually not looking like it's in a bad position where we are right now. And again, this one is sideways up confirmed, which is nice. This one is on the downside, so these two are matching up. Euro CAD, again, a little bit all over the place. And then you're seeing Aussie CAD, again, that's a fight for the commodity currencies. If you guys... I'm trying to break things down a little bit better. Again, I'm talking about commodity currencies being the Aussie, New Zealand, and then also slightly the CAD. Because again, right now you're seeing China collapse, and you're seeing these pairs follow in the same direction. And it's because again, when their industry slows down, again, they're not importing from these other nations that are having, that have natural resources. So that's why those things are dropping. Okay, that's why you're seeing over here in the Aussie basket. Again, you're seeing a lot of red. Okay, we do have versus New Zealand sideways up confirmed. And again, I'll show that position in a second. And then again, you had these downtrend setups, meaning you got a little bit of a pullback, but look at this, the 4-hour and the 1-hour. It's just kind of sideways consolidation. It's not really so much as a pullback as it is just slower consolidation. Again, you can see now that now it's giving the uptrend setups on those time frames as well. So we'll look at them, but there's not really a whole. I wouldn't say there's a whole lot over there where you're like yes, yes. Because remember, one of the biggest problems with the Aussie was it is sitting in daily demand, daily or 4 hour demand for a lot of those pairs. So not necessarily the best setup. And again, the pound, we know everything what's going on in the pound. Again, 190 and 95, huge movements in the pound. And again, that's why this section was just kind of all over the place. Excuse me. I will say I was watching Euro Pound today, and that thing just wouldn't stop. One of the interesting things, and I'll show you in the setup from the gap, we didn't get an exit until all the way up at what 85.07. That was a total move of 106 pips from that 30-minute gap last night. Okay, so again, you guys saw before I marked down plus 22. It was actually 106 pips or whatever that we could have put on there, and again, we had not gotten a sell signal on the 30-minute yet. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. So again, that's what we have going into the overnight. Again, we'll break some of these pairs down. For the most part, it's kind of, again, with the European Union just being flat like it is, and then the pound reacting, a lot of these pairs are just kind of in a weird position right now for setups. All right. So with that being said, let's jump over. I actually have the pound. I have the Euro Pound up first. Let me cover this one real quick, and then we'll jump over to the Aussie. You guys can see what it did. Here was that 30-minute gap, and you guys can see we opened here. We ended up spiking down. We went all the way up, ding to the 3-to-1, and then pulled back, and then it kind of went sideways, and then it was off to the races. Okay. Now, at no point in here did this red close below, so we never got a confirmation, right? This green went above, so we never actually got a confirmation anywhere in here to get out of the trade until right here. So basically, there is where you would have had to officially get out of the trade. From here all the way up to there. Okay. Now again, all day you just watch us make more money, more money, more money, more money, more money. But again, that's quite a lot of movement in one day. The daily ATR is 46, and this one, as of right now, moved 102 pips. So over double its ATR, and you guys can see it's just a spike up in the air. Now, we're starting to get towards areas of supply, so again, we should be looking for some type of an area where we're going to turn. Again, I'll take these off now so you can see them. But you guys can see as we're starting to push up in here, we got to start looking to the left. Okay, so on the 4 hour, you can see we're kind of getting close to this zone here, which is just right above where we are. It's about 11, 12 pips. So that's a potential area where it's starting to probe, but it hasn't really necessarily put in a good area of demand in here yet. I mean, it's slowing, it's pointing up, but you're not really getting any wicks or any pullbacks. So not necessarily a bad little area. If it continues to push a little bit higher, this is not a bad area, but this is not the first time this zone was formed. The zone was actually formed back up here. This is actually the first retest of it. So it's not a horrible zone. You could still potentially use it. The risk in that one is only about 13 pips. So again, not a bad position to be able to take this. And again, you got to be thinking that we're going to start retracing back down again. Now, I don't think this one is going to be an instantaneous kind of full retrace back down. We're going to need some type of a pound data. And the pound data that I'm talking about is some of those trade agreements. Okay, obviously it's only Monday. Boris is like, if I don't get what I want with the European Union, I'll just walk out. And again, that's where a lot of this movement came from. But as he starts signing trade agreements, or as the UK starts signing trade agreements, that will remove that uncertainty and that will bring strength back in the pound because they will all of a sudden have official documents and official trade agreements and things like that placed, which again take the uncertainty and the higher inflated pricing that they would have to pay otherwise. So with that being said, that would bring this basically running into some type of an area of supply, and boom, we got to start thinking about this thing coming all the way back to the downside. So that's pretty exciting for the Euro Pound. Let's go back up, and again, I won't do that one, but again, that was a huge runner, and again, we didn't, I only counted the 22. I could have counted the 106, but again, we're not gonna get crazy with that one. So let's start off with Aussie dollar. Let's refresh it. So here we are on the daily. We mentioned this last week. Again, we hit it and we did bounce a bit, and again, we opened up a little bit of a gap outside of that zone. But again, being inside of a demand zone the day before, it's not really something we're looking to take short, right? And again, this is what we have on the 4 hour. You can see we are literally skirting along the top of this demand zone. Even on the 1 hour, 1 hour you can't see it as much because it's been a while before we've been here. But again, 4 hour is the best looking time frame, and we're not seeing anything great above either, right? We're talking about the first place we have any type of sellers coming in is about 33 pips away. So on the smaller time frames. Okay. Besides that, there's really not much in here, and I've gone all the way down. So again, for me in this pair, I'm definitely more bullish. As you guys know, the curve was on, it's marked as low on this one. If we can get some type of a confirmation, one of those green, red, greens, I'd be looking to take this in a long direction, okay? Now, if we end up breaking through this on the 4 hour and we do get a little bit of white space underneath and pull back, this 4 hour zone is only about 16 pips. That gives us the potential to take this for a continuation pattern to the downside, one of those Harry Potter trades. So that's also on the radar. If we do not get a green, red, green up and we get a break through the bottom, I'll be looking to, again, as long as we get a little space, not just a base sideways, as long as we get some white space under here, that could be a potential short to the downside, okay? And you'll be looking at something along those lines, right? Somewhere down in here, okay? That would be your Aussie dollar. Looking at your Aussie New Zealand, okay? Let's reset this. All right, so a couple different areas over here on the left. I wanted to start up here. Here is your 4 hour. Okay, so you guys can see we ended up going all the way up. We came about halfway back down again before we started to push sideways. So it looks super impressive. Again, we marked it off this wick over wick last week. It hit the first time. We knew it was still a valid wick over wick. And remember, because it went that far into the zone, we could actually lower our risk on this one as well. We could have actually taken our risk level and done it based off of there. Actually, hold on. That's not true. There. Okay. Right? Because again, we pushed into the zone. It took the orders out. It went up to here. Here, I'll move this aside a little bit so you guys can see. Okay. And you can see there's our 3-to-1 risk reward ratio. So in this case, this was also another good one based off your 4 hour. Your total risk in this trade was only about 9 pips on there. Nice little 3-to-1 risk reward ratio trade based off of the open, which again, the open was down here, right? Open was right here in the demand zone on the 4 hour, went all the way up, hit that area, came all the way back down again, 3-to-1 risk reward. So you could have taken it long from the very beginning all the way up as well. Multiple ways to take this one. Again, this was a long trade. If you guys are looking, you guys will see this was the long setup that we had right here for plus 36 pips. So we took it all the way up back in the other direction. Okay, and that was the one that was posted over here. All right. So again, that was the one trade we did not take it short in the other direction. But again, this is a Sunday night gap and Sunday night opening, not necessarily, continued trading. But again, you could have taken it in either direction, top to bottom, you were good to go. All right. Now, where we are right now, if we get back up into that zone, there's one more potential short in there. I wouldn't go too crazy with it. I wouldn't get overly aggressive. As it is right now, the zone is only about 8. It's pushed in, it's gone in twice, and it's pushed in higher both times. So I would not be surprised if we could just get a little bit higher. And again, I can see that coming back down again as well. Not only the 3-to-1, but I think we could actually get back down to the 5-to-1 as well with a little bit of data. And remember, we do have that New Zealand data tomorrow. Again, if that New Zealand data is better than expected, that's going to be a catalyst to drop this thing to the downside. All right, so there's where your setup is going to be there. To 4, 5, okay. All right, here we go. Let's see. So Aussie yen was one of those ones that we were looking to get in. We were unable to get back, and then this is what we dealt with. Really no movement on this one. Okay, and that was on an hourly basis. Here's your daily. We had a little bit of a pullback. Problem is I wasn't necessarily looking, and we are in a downtrend setup right now on the daily weekly, but I mean, where are we going to go? We only have about 30 pips total to the downside, and any type of level of risk is paying a little bit more. So there's your 4 hour. You can see we really have not had really any movement. Again, still in that downtrend setup. There's a little bit of a zone that you could take right here. Again, you would have got an entry off of it. But again, at the same time, remember, we have a buying zone right below. So yes, there was a zone here. You could have taken it, but it really hasn't moved at all. It was one little spike in. So it wasn't really anything that kind of stood out for me. I was like, yes, I want to trade this. Dropping down to the 1 hour, same thing. I mean, it's, there's a little bit up here. But you would have had to take that entire zone just to get the fill. And again, it's just basically sideways. So no trend, no trade is really what we're looking for on that one. Aussie CAD. So Aussie CAD is also in the same kind of consolidation pattern, right? All it's doing, again, this is on the, again, this is the 30-minute. We'll go back to the 4 hour. You can see it did push a little bit higher. Same thing. It pushed out. It gave us the red pullback. And again, this is what we were looking for. We were looking for the green, the red, and then the green push out. And that's what it did. Unfortunately, top to bottom, this one had about 44 pips, and by the time this retraced again, the one thing I like about this is the amount of risk to the downside that you had to kind of put into this one. And you guys can see here, we didn't really get the same type of entry. And again, if we do back testing to here, you guys can see we're not able to see it on the lower time frames. It just was too long. So you would have had to pull it on the 4 hour. Okay. And again, this zone is about 23 So you need to get some movement out of there. And again, it's rallying back up. Now, big question is, again, we drove pretty deep. We went all the way down to the very, very bottom of this 4-hour zone. If we can pull back into this area, which again, not it's an area. It's not the best area because it spent a lot of time here, pulled up, came down again, pulled up again to that same area. So it's been to this area multiple times. And again, it's really, I mean, if anything, I would say the zone is probably sitting here. I think that's a better zone than that one right there. I'd probably wait for that zone if you're looking to take a short to run back to the downside. As you can see on this one, there is plenty of risk in it, or plenty of room to run. You guys can see that the 3-to-1 is before we hit that opposing demand zone. So it is not a bad short to the downside, but you're looking to grab about 45 to 48 pips out of that one. So not a bad little trade if we can pull up. And again, this is kind of taking it back to the level. And again, it's just a type of reversal as we start to see some good things come online. And again, things that could do this would be the U.S. saying, hey, you know what? We're going to be a little bit slack on those, the phase one deal. We're going to be a little bit slack on that one. Which would help China, which means, again, China would be able to buy things from Australia faster, and again, Australia would come back into the play. Did I factor the news release in for tonight? Is that what you're asking? Is that what you're curious about? I don't see tonight being a huge mover for any of the Aussie ones. I don't think it's going to change, and I don't think we're going to get too much information right now. The only thing I could see them mentioning is, so the data hasn't been bad. Like, I don't see them lowering it, although obviously this virus is going to hurt them a little bit. But I think they were more on the side where, again, remember, their unemployment rate went down again. So they've been doing okay. And again, in this situation, if you get a spike up because of the news, then yeah, I'm definitely looking to take a short. I mean, it's got to go 40 pips for something like this for a non-expect. I mean, if there's a rate change, obviously that explains it all because, again, that would be a fundamental change. But if you get any type of spike up in this zone, then yeah, I'd be looking to take this short for any of these. Okay. Aussie Swiss. Again, looking at this on a daily basis, you can see that it just basically went straight down. Okay. There you can see the setup from, what's this on the hourly? Where do we set this on the 30-minute? That was what we had set up. So it must have been, it's not really a 4-hour, but, oh, it was the wick over wick 4-hour, yeah. So you guys can see we were able to hit that. That was last week, and then it continued to push all the way down. And again, we are in a downtrend setup right now, but similar situation. You guys can't see anything green here because it's been so long, but all the other pairs are inside of a demand zone, so this one most likely as well. It's just so far back that we're only able to see it right now. So you can see it on a weekly. Oh no, it's this real funky candle. So yeah, no, I don't really like much on the Aussie Swiss right now. Aussie Singapore. Let's see, what do we got here? So it's a downtrend setup, but again, like I said, it's dealing with this candle. So again, that's the one problem with a lot of the Aussie pairs right now is this. Okay. You're not going to see anything on any of these things. You guys can see that's all the data we have. No more data. No more data. So there's not really a whole lot of setup we can do on that one. All right, so those are the Aussies. Let's go over and look at the CADs. CAD yen. So CAD yen, right? We just looked at this. CAD yen was, where's my CAD basket? Sideways down confirmed, and consolidation up. Okay, so you guys can see this on a daily. Okay, again, it's definitely driving down. It's definitely giving us a green, so it makes sense why it would be a downtrend setup, right? Again, it just turned red here, but you guys get the idea. Looking at the 4-hour, same thing. We know that it's confirmed down, right? We've gone lower than the green. We've pushed lower. But what is it doing? It's bouncing right into an area of demand. Okay, and you guys can see it's already hit it and bounced up and then hit it again and bounced up again. So, it's not bad. And again, this is not the zone I would use. I would use this zone right here. See this area? I would use this one, which is just right below it, which starts here and goes to here. So it's kind of like this. Yeah, it's probably right about there. I think that's a much better zone. Again, it's fresh. It hasn't been tested. You guys can see that it's just barely grazing along the top side of it. So I like that one more to the downside. If you were looking to really go long this one, I think we are due for somewhat of a bounce. Excuse me. There's a lot of weakness in this pair without it really retracing whatsoever. Normally you have this where it pulls back and forth. And this one's done it, but it's a big push, a slight pull back into that area, pull down, gap, drop below, gap, continue to push down again. A little bit of a base here, but again, there's not really much in here until we get back up into this range. This is really not much. So this one has a little bit more room to the upside before it can grab orders. It's got about 80 pips. So there may be something smaller in there. And again, you'd like to kind of target this one around CAD news, but that's what I'd be looking for on that. CAD Swiss, I wouldn't touch. Again, downtrend setup. This one's got about 70 pips to go before it hits a demand zone on the daily, but it's kind of a funky level that we're sitting in right now trying to grab orders. Okay, and you guys can see this is what we've done. We've really just today was much uglier, right? We had a little bit up, a little bit of down, but really not too much movement. We would like for this to come back to a good area, but unfortunately, not a good area has not formed. So a little bit harder to be able to kind of deal with that one. There are other opportunities out there, so I would just skip this in and move on. Actually, hold on. I'll go back and let me do the Swiss. All right, so you can see where we are with the Swiss yen. Go back to the daily. So Swiss yen was coming off of this demand zone and kind of pushing up again. So there's its 2 impulse days, and now it's kind of pulling back. There's not really like one that I love inside of this area. If anything, this demand was not a long; it was a target from this zone. Oh, excuse me. I switched coffee today, and I can tell that I didn't get the caffeine. I was running low and I didn't get to go to the store because I had the boy home today with the 102 fever. And I was like, oh, you know what? That's the last scoop of coffee. Even though I need 2, I was like, I'll just put decaf in there. I won't know the difference. Trust me, I know the difference. It's been killing me all day. I'm like, oh, God. So I apologize for the yawn in there. Anyway, this would have been a target coming off of this zone on the daily. Not too much in this one. Like I said, it came off of a zone here, kind of pulled up again. Here was its actual gap entry on the 4-hour, but really no gap today or anything that we could kind of see, right? You guys can see how consolidated this is getting. Even if I stretch it out, there's really not a whole lot, no gap, really nothing great in here to be able to grab. Okay. In fact, I think there was your gap right there. But again, the candle is so funky, you wouldn't have traded it. There's no way to trade this one. Too much going on with that. So looking at the Aussies, or looking at the Euros, again, this analysis isn't going to be much because again, we know right now that it was up, it was basically down 26 pips today. Okay. And that's kind of what we're looking at. Okay. We had this big run up on Friday, and then you guys see the little red dot right there? It's right there. It's just sitting right there. I don't even know if I could zoom in enough for you guys to see it. Yeah. You guys see it? Right there. So not too much in there. So dropping into the 4-hour. Let's zoom out so you can see a little bit more. That's kind of what we have going on. Like I said, we had this area marked off up top that if we could get up there, we're looking to take some shorts. On a 4-hour basis today, I mean, here, count them back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see there's really not a whole lot of movement. We popped up, we ran into something, and then again, we pulled back down again, into a level of demand, and then it popped up and is now based. So in this pair, there's no direction right now. There's really not a whole lot in this one. Little stuff like this, but besides that, overall, there's nothing overnight that we can take on this. Looking at EuroCAD, kind of the same situation. Large rally up, right? Huge green day, and then look what we got now. Up, down, and basically little movement back and forth. On the 4-hour, you can see as well, look at this weakness, right? All the way back down and then all the way back up again in one single candle today. So really, it just, is there anything clean to grab here? Not until we get back up into this 147.40. If we get up into that area, again, you guys can see that is based off of this level, and then it was confirmed right here over on, 12.13. Okay, we had a confirmation. We're getting close. Okay, and again, I don't think that zone is that big. You're talking about 16, 18 pips. So not a horrible little zone. Okay, this one should be easy to get a 3-to-1 off if we get a little bit of a confirmation in there. And again, it's looking like it wants to. If it pushes higher, it'll wipe these orders out, go just a bit higher, and then be exhausted and kind of push back down again. So this is not really the best level of basing. It's not really necessarily forming a big area of demand. So not really worried about that one. Okay. Euro Swiss. Okay. Euro Swiss, looking at this one on the daily. Again, kind of what we talked about last week. You guys can see not a lot of movement. We were sitting inside of a demand zone, and all we did was kind of just move a little bit to the side. So this one, the epitome of flat, it isn't a downtrend setup, but it's a downtrend setup into an area of demand. So it's kind of a no-no. We need it to break these zones, and then we can take whether a continuation lower, or we can take the, again, if we can get a green, red, green, we'll have our confirmation that we are moving back to the top side. But at this point, I'm waiting for a break. I'm not looking to go long in this pair yet. Okay. 4 hour, kind of the same thing. Looking for levels up top. This one's not bad, but again, the level is actually here, not here. I don't really love any of the 4 hour levels. Yeah, I'd probably move this one over here. There's not a lot of explosion in here, which is what I don't like about it. This one, there's a bit, it exploded down and came up and then exploded down again, but it's all right. It's all right. I don't really love a lot of this. And again, for me right now, I'm not really looking to go short until we can break a zone. Again, we're sitting right in demand. Again, if we can get a green, one more green, and then a pullback into red a little bit, then yes, I would potentially be looking to go long off of this area. But right now, no, not so much. Euro Swiss is nothing I'm really kind of into. Now, Euro Pound we already talked about. Again, we're waiting for this one to get a bit higher, which would be a nice little turnaround back to the downside. A heck of a runner, and again, on the 4 hour, I'll just click this. Oops. There you go. That's what you're kind of looking at. And again, placement of this one is really not bad at all. I like this where it is, and I like this one where it is too. And that's your 3-to-1 and your 5-to-1. So it may not be bad little targets in there to be able to kind of hit those on the Euro Pound. And that was the one I covered first today, so I'm not going to jump on that one again. Euro Yen. So, Euro Yen. Look at this level of excitement. It's just for 5 days, it's basically been stuck inside of the same area. It really hasn't moved too much. Here is your 4 hour. And again, look at this. I mean, it is just, I mean, I can try to stretch it out, make it look exciting, but there's really not a whole lot there. It's been holding this gap and it's been holding this bottom level, and it's about 50 pips top to bottom, but it hasn't even covered the top and bottom at this point. So we're down to like a 30 pip range. It's getting smaller and smaller as it's kind of consolidating in. I would love to say it's like coiling up, getting ready to blow out, but I mean, we got 4 hour zones right below and a gap sitting above. So it's going to have to hit one of those and grind through it. And right now, it really hasn't made much leeway. I mean, the best looking one right now is so far this red candle right here has made it that far into that green level zone. Okay, up here, basically this one grazed and this one grazed. So I think it's going to probably bounce around a little bit more unless there's something earth-shattering that happens in European Union. But right now, I mean, you're basically sideways. You're purely consolidating. So there's really nothing we can trade on that one. Looking at Euro New Zealand. Okay, I'll look at this one on a daily. So you can see on the daily, again, this one did have that big pop as well as on Friday. And then again, you guys can see today, it was top bottom, really not a lot of movement either way. Looking at it on the hourly, kind of the same thing. What did we do? We're wedged, right? We had this wick over wick here, which we had marked off last week. Okay, what did we do? We came back down last week. We hit it. We came up, and then we based right here in the middle at about the 60 to 70% mark, right? What did we do today? We popped up just slightly, and then we turned away before we even got into the actual demand piece. I'm sorry, the supply piece up top. So is there a trend? I mean, on the daily right now, is there a trend? Right now, no. Right? Right now, no. I mean, it's definitely, this green is engulfing this candle because of the gap. But besides that right now, we got nada. If anything, though, I expect this to kind of turn back to the downside. I mean, we are sitting inside of a zone right here. And this is what it ran up to. Okay, it's not the best zone, but that's what we hit when we went to the downside. We have a red. If this is the biggest green push we can get, and this starts to kind of turn back to the downside, that would give us our red, green, red, potentially even on the lower time frames already. And again, we'd be looking to take some shorts on this one, probably down into that area. Okay, down into the 168.64 range. Drinking decaf coffee is like expecting to get tipsy from non-alcoholic beers. Yeah, basically. Ernest, I was like, I got one. I mean, they actually sell that half and half. I was like, come on, it can't be that bad. I mean, if I have like one scoop of regular, one scoop of decaf, it won't be that bad, right? It was bad. I definitely knew. And I had to go pick up the baby and Melissa tonight from the airport. So, yeah, I didn't get to take like a nap or anything. It's crazy. But yeah, Euro to New Zealand, there's better options out there right now to trade. Euro dollar, okay? So again, we know that the euro dollar today was basically down 26. You can see it pulled back. And again, on a daily basis, what did it do? It punched up on Friday right into this level of basing and flipped and turned to the downside. Okay, so again, not surprising what it did. Again, this was at one of the larger wicks, but you guys can see right here. If I marked off a zone, look at this. We had this whole level of basing right here, and what did it do? Drove up on Friday, turned into sort of the push to the downside. So It did what it was supposed to do, but was it a huge runner? No, not necessarily. And it's about 22 pips risk on a 4-hour chart, so not crazy. And you guys can see here, right? This candle made it a little bit difficult. If you're going to be conservative, you would have waited till the entry here, and we just didn't make it, right? This thing pushed all the way up, tagged the top, and then boom, slammed back down again. From here all the way down in 3 candles in 3 hours. But here, we didn't even make it all the way up, right? Didn't even make it all the way up. There we go. Okay. So again, one pop down, one pop right back up again. And again, this was the news data today. Right? So got a little parabolic retracement for about 28 pips. Right? 28 pips. Spike down for news, spike right back up again, and it priced it and moved from where it started. Okay, so really little retrace, but nothing crazy. Okay. And again, if you guys are taking a parabolic retracement, you can see this. It was like boom, boom. And this one grabbed from a wick over wick here and started to move over. If you were looking for the ideal entry on this one, a little bit harder, right? Because it popped all the way down, popped up again, and then kind of stopped. So there really just wasn't too much in this one to be able to grab. You guys can see right here. I don't think this one. Yeah, see, it was kind of in here. Again, these are 5-minute zones. So they're going to be all over the place. We were kind of looking for that zone. So you had to be super aggressive on that one. Again, wasn't bad for Nadex, but that was about the only place. Again, this big spike down and spike back. So, I wouldn't even really say. I mean, like, yeah, we're kind of trending to the downside. It's, it's sideways down confirmed. We've already spiked a little bit lower, so technically speaking, there's nothing until we get down to here. But it's only about 16 pips. So any type of level of risk in this one, by the time we get the actual confirmation, we're kind of getting between the rock and a hard place on the euro. I was hoping there'd be a bit more on this one. And again, tomorrow with no news, I don't necessarily expect this one to be a big runner. I mean, like I said, there's no European news, there's no U.S. news, there's no CAD news. Just with no news, I feel like this is going to be quite a slow day over here, especially for the euro. Okay, so that's what we got going on in the euro. Euro Singapore, you guys can see where we are on the daily. Okay. Still up in that area. You guys can see it bounced off and came back down again. And again, we're at the same level. So we are still looking for shorts on this one. And again, remember, guys, the spread on this one, it was huge. It was like 9 pips yesterday afternoon at the open. Actually, this one was 11, I think. Or no. This is euro. So yeah, this one was 9. I found one that was 12 on one of the other pairs. And again, once this one comes online, the spread is down to 1 pip right now. So again, because it fluctuates between 1 and 2 pips. So not a bad one to trade. You just got to wait till the markets actually get open. It's not necessarily the ideal situation for Sunday trades, just because the volatility and the volume are not there yet. So see, now it's up to, it goes between 1 and then it'll click between 2. So you're looking at like 1.8 pips. So it's not a bad one to trade. It's it's been bouncing off some zones pretty well. And again, looking for shorts to the downside in that pair. Looking at the pound. So here's your 4-hour. Where are we at? We're inside of a 4-hour demand zone. Okay, now again, this one went very, very far down. If we can get any type of trade deal, again, that's where I'm looking to go long on this one. Again, this is quite a mover. Again, here's your 30-minute position. You guys can see this is just boom. It's like all over the place. There you go. Sorry. And again, there was your gap, right? The gap worked. And do we have a green, red, green anywhere in here? First one is right here. That would be our first green, red, and green higher. So this one, again, we only gave it, what did I give it? I gave it, I don't even have the thing up right now. Where is it? Sunday night gaps. Oh, wait, not that one. There we go. Yeah, so this one got credit for plus 22 pips. And in this case, you guys can see there's its entry. And you didn't get a green, red, green until right here. That was 126 pips. So I only counted 22. I could have counted 126. So again, I like to keep these things conservative. But where did we get, and from the entry here, where did we get any type of pullback? And in fact, here's our 3-to-1. That's what I counted. And then bam, there's your 5-to-1 right there. So again, we could have jacked this one up and be like, yay, look at this, 300 pips in this first week. But again, I'm only going to use the conservative targets for these things. And again, green, red, green, showing that we had some type of a trend reversal. And really, it wasn't even a trend reversal. But again, it continued to go push down another about 90 pips. But at the end of the day, on this one, you risk 9 pips. Is risking 9 pips to make 129 a bad thing? No. You could have been and in fact, had you been trailing this one, you would have had your trail probably down to this level, in which case you didn't get stopped out. So it went down to here, and again, you need to form a new red, green, red, right? So bam, bam, bam. When it came here is when you would have lowered it to here and here. At this point, you'd probably still be in the trade if you were going to do the confirmations to the downside. Now, that's just with one single standard lot. Imagine if you kept adding on to this position to the downside. That's when it gets really, really crazy for how much money this thing would have made. Again, I don't talk about the add-ons enough because I want you guys to focus on at least getting the single ones good. But again, nice little Sunday night gap, tank to the downside, 5 to 1, and then continue to go much, much farther. But where are we? Demand zone. Okay, 4-hour demand zone. Daily, almost in a demand zone, and technically we are in one. It's just not showing up here because it's inside of this right now. You guys will see it's technically here, right? And that's where we're sitting. So it's daily demand, 4-hour demand. Let's check weekly. Where are we weekly? No, weekly we're smack in the middle, so it's not as big a deal. But again, demand on two different things. We're not necessarily looking to get short and take this one to the downside. As much as people are like, oh my God, it went down again. Let's sell it, Brian. It's bad news. It's going to get worse. So the worst thing you do is want to sell after there's a big move in price, because then you'll be the guy that owns it at the bottom when it does some type of retracement to the top side. So just be cautious with that. So again, I'm looking for long positions in this one. With no news, I think it may slow down tomorrow because I think the U.S. market will also be slow. Pound CAD. Here's your daily. Again, straight up, straight back down again. You guys can see this on the 4-hour. Came up and then collapsed down. I don't know. I want to say I didn't have that one was not marked. But you can see over here, it is running into this. Actually, is it there? Yeah, it got really, really close to that. Actually, you know what? I think it did hit that. There's the bottom of that. There's that triangle pattern that I really, really like. Let's see if that touched. No, we got front run. It got front run. And again, this is one of the ones that did not give us an entry. We had a short in this one, but we were waiting for price to come up, and you can see what happened. It came up, started the form sideways, and then just continued. It just dropped all the way back down again. So we did not get entry into this short. We called it for a short, and again, we missed this one by 9 pips. And then the result was from that area, we missed out on like 200 pips. So that's what happens. Again, when you have set and forget type trading, you're not going to catch them all. And this is one of the situations where we didn't catch this one. But again, the analysis was correct. Again, what we're doing now, though, at least on the hourly, is we're starting to put in higher lows as well as on the 4-hour. So 4-hour, again, this is kind of a retracement back again. This will probably push down a bit more, but the one thing I'm looking at on the 1-hour is you're seeing these lower highs being put in. So again, consolidation on this one. Not quite in an area where we're going to have a retracement, but again, I could definitely see something kind of turn and pop on this one as well. And again, this one's a little bit crazy. The daily is 127 pips, so it's going to be a lot more movement than what we're used to. Okay. Pound dollar. Okay, you guys can see this one. Big pop up, and then boom, big spike to the downside. Okay. You guys look at this one on the 4-hour. That's kind of what we're looking for. And again, did it touch the very, very bottom? Yeah, it kind of touched the very, very bottom. But it was kind of right there. It was like, eh. You guys can see a similar situation. Okay, we were waiting for it to come back up and retouch. It didn't touch. It did it on the 4-hour, the daily, or I'm sorry, on the 4-hour, but we don't use the 4-hour candle. We typically use the lower time frames. And you can see the hourly, we did not, we didn't reach it. Okay, and that's what we have right now, is we're sitting inside of an area of demand. So very similar picture. Again, we can look at it on this one as well. Very similar picture of what we saw inside of the pound. Okay, whenever you're sitting inside of an area of demand, especially like this, where we've driven deep in, there's one of two things we're looking for. We're looking for a confirmation turn to the top side, or we're looking for a break. In this case, this is about a 25 pip range. This is what we have going on. I want to see a break of the bottom zone. If we can get a break of the bottom zone, and again, end up having that little triangle, right? The little area of white space underneath. It's like I'm so bad at triangles this one. If we can have price come down, get a little bit of white space, in this case yellow so you can see it, and then pull back up again, there's your level of risk to the downside. Okay, we're looking for a continuation pattern here. If we can go ahead and get it. Okay, if price does nothing but go sideways and then start to go back up again, obviously that invalidates this, but that's a nice little entry to the downside, going around this yellow triangle. And then again, nice little run, and that would give you about 50 pips to the downside. So that's pound dollar. Looking at pound Aussie. Bam, pound Aussie over here on the daily. Straight up in the air. Yeah, this one's a bit crazy. You guys can see it's, we had a trade set up, we just never got any pullback to it, unfortunately. That's on the 4-hour. Again, we were waiting for it to come up and it ended up going up higher, hitting something. There it is on an hourly. Okay, again, hourly you can see really hasn't done much. 30-minute, kind of the same situation. Kind of came up. And again, this is another one of those ones. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'll zoom in. Okay. There was your gap. Now in this case, the gap only was about 26 pips, but the reason I didn't put this one on the chart was because the zone was about 30, and 30 is more than I typically like to take. But again, could you have set this one up the same exact way we set the other ones up? Sure. And we just missed it in this case by 4 pips, and then you guys can see the result on the downside. But again, this is one of those ones that was listed high in the curve. We were looking for entries. We knew that it really went crazy on Friday, and the result was it literally retraced all the way back again today. Huge movement, again, from where it opened. You guys can see this one was 308 pips to the downside. So this would have been one of those ones you just ride this one all the way down until it hits an opposing zone. And then it just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. So for me on this one, again, looking on the daily, again, we just pulled back. I expect us to have a little bit of a green day today. We would have to, again, impulse, some type of a corrective move, and then most likely kind of continuing to the downside. Again, Australia's been beat up so much, but any type of good Chinese news, I definitely can see this one continuing to push. Again, Aussie strength coming in. At least till we get back down to this level down here at 193.34, where I'd be looking for, potential longs to go, go higher. Right now, I'm not seeing any green candles. This is the first level of basing that we've seen thus far. So if we come down, again, there is probably a good possibility that we can get higher. And as long as this base is not a super sharp base, if it just kind of like peters over here and goes down, this is a nice 1 to 3, and this is a nice 1 to 5. So again, mark those two areas off based off the 4-hour. On the 1-hour, kind of same thing. We're sitting in a wick over wick right now. It'll probably break that, but I'm still holding for these lower levels. I still think the lower levels are good on pound. Pound Singapore did the same thing. You guys can see here. This one actually did break just above this formation I liked, and it collapsed all the way back down. This one was a little bit harder to play. Frames, cycle it. So that's what we have right now on the daily. Okay, again, today was a huge push to the downside into an area of demand. Okay, so again, are we looking to go short? Not yet. Okay, I am liking this one. We are getting a little bit of a bounce, and I like the way that it drove in. This zone is not very big to the downside on this pound Swiss. Okay, in this case, if we can break through the bottom side, and again, white space, again, draw a triangle on your charts if you need to do it. Okay, you can see in this case we have about 25 pips risk to the downside. This one is definitely one of those ones that can move. And again, it's been so long since price came back to this level. You guys can see, looking to the left, all we have is this wick. Okay, there's a wick over wick that that goes here. Here, I'll put a line on the very, very start of it is right there, which when we drop to the lower time frames, you guys can see it's all the way down here at 1 to 4. Okay, so again, our 1 to 3 is golden on that one. And that's quite a nice little target to the downside. That banks you about 75 pips. All right, so again, pound Swiss, nice little setup on that one if we can get that continuation pattern to the downside. Pound New Zealand, there were some setups on this one. This is another one, just boop, 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 hit a zone and then boom, collapsed. Okay, this one went pretty quick. And again, here's our impulse move. We're inside of the correction phase right now and looking for a target to the downside. There's buyers over in here, but I don't know, kind of like a little funky of an area, right? It's not really like something super, super clean. This is also one, if you guys drop down, you guys can see this whole thing initiated off of here. Okay, so this is another one that, Again, this was a good one. Came back up, touched it, and continued to drop. There was your 1 to 3. That's the only one I counted. There's your 1 to 5. And you can see that it went all the way back down again. So it counted as 23, and the whole move was 316. So this is another one of those ones that I could have added another 300 based off of this one for where your actual entry, actually your exit would be here. So from your entry, this one would have got you 297. So it'd be up like 500 pips or something like that. One of those like super crazy astronomical numbers. But again, I focus on the small ones. All right. So that's what we got here. Let's go across it and look at New Zealand. Again, New Zealand data tomorrow. You guys can see New Zealand CAD. We ended up going right up here and we missed this one. This one was front run on the 30 minutes, so we never actually got into this position. So New Zealand CAD was a no-go today. We got front run. New Zealand dollar. Yeah, this one came up and hit it. So there was your 4-hour zone. You guys can see this one. Let's see if it's supposed to give us a clean entry. Maybe drew it off here. Or which one we drew it off of? It should be cleaner than that, but it's not. Oh, it was drawn off this one. Yeah, so there was your spike in. So this was a valid entry, went all the way down. Since that time, too much wick, not enough body in there. Again, no real trending. This one sideways. It made its one move, and now it's just been stuck here. So this will be one to watch tomorrow. Follow this one during the day tomorrow and see where it puts us. Again, we have a big demand zone below, but we got plenty of room right now. It's just been flirting around this 1 to 3. And I don't really necessarily love too much of the top side either. This is, nothing super clean, but I think for the New Zealand news tomorrow at 4:45, I mean, it's their unemployment change, unemployment rate. Okay, there could definitely be some movement based off of this one. Whoops, not that. Let's see over here. Going into area demand. So right now where we are, if you guys look to the left, we've just kind of breached this one, and there's actually a little bit of a wick below that it's not counting. But again, there's this impulse sideways and then pop out of it. That's kind of where we're at right now. If we're able to break lower than that, then yeah, there's a potential trade set up in this one. No, just too much sideways movement on this one right now. There was your trade from over here, like last week, but besides that, nothing here with this wick. So New Zealand is basically shot. Let's look at the dollar pairs. Eh. Yeah, I mean, this is just kind of a sideways channel, right? I mean, it's like, we just missed the short and this one on the downside. It's kind of pulling up. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, here's your 4-hour situation. We got about 60 pips top to bottom on this one. We ended up pulling up, coming back and retesting, and then going higher. That one ended up getting you about 35 pips, and then it's just consolidating. So your highs are getting lower, your lows are getting higher. Again, it's coiling up, waiting for some type of an explosion. But again, with no news tomorrow, this one may be a little bit kind of ugly to be trading. Yeah, you guys can see the consolidation here. Up, down. So not a good one. Sitting in a looks like we're in demand zone right now for dollar Swiss. So again, looking to go long. It's already bounced a little bit. Wait for a pullback, and there could be potential long in this one. You have something along the lines of here. Again, I like the 1 to 3. I like the 1 to 5. Not bad little placements in that one. Total risk in that one would be it's about 30 pips. It's not horrible. But again, if we can get a little bit of a pullback in that zone, that could be your taking off point. Again, that's on the daily. So again, we can kind of refine that on a lower time frame as well. Yeah, we take that and move that over here. Yeah, we cut 5 pips out of it there.
There we go. 15, much better, and it's right below that zone. So go down to the 1 hour, grab the candle down here at the bottom. You're looking at putting this one at 96.27 to 96.12. All right. Dollar CAD. Again, you guys can see this one pushing up inside of a zone here. Again, we're looking to get short the dollar CAD, particularly on the 4 hour. I was hoping we'd be able to go into kind of oil on Wednesday, but I don't know if we'll be able to hold that up here. But again, definitely looking to get short this position. Again, we went a little bit higher, and again, didn't quite make it here, but you guys can see there was a couple zones in a row. But again, 4 hour, we're sitting in the first of the 4 hour zones to the top side. Again, as well as on the daily, you can see we have a similar situation. Now, I wanted to just get a little bit higher. I'm actually voting for it to go a little bit higher. I'd like to get in off of this area, not necessarily this chunk, but again, on the lower time frame, you can see we are hitting the first of them now. And it's made a couple attempts. It hasn't gone much lower. So this is definitely a short. Keep this on your radar for some type of a short. Looking for potential entry going into the morning. Okay, potentially tomorrow morning. I'm going to see what it looks like. If it can just continue to grind up, great. But if I can get a red, green, red, at least on an hourly basis, something that's starting to crash back down again, I'll be looking to get short the dollar CAD as well. Dollar Singapore, it's got to come all the way back up top. I'm not going to be looking for this one until we get high. And again, it's been straight up. I'm looking for a pullback, and then I'll be looking to get short. Right now, guys, it's in the middle of the curve, so it's kind of in no man's land. It's not really kind of biased one way or the other. All right. So those are the dollars. As far as oil goes, again, here's what we have looking for oil. That was Carl's NQ trade from earlier today. So here's oil. Okay, oil is continuing to push to the downside. Here's that magical 50 number. There's the 50. You guys can see we started. Where was it? Oops. Let's see. Here's where we were Friday. Right, we were up here at 51.22, and then here was the 50 mark, and boom, we broke through. I was talking about it inside of the newsletter, talking about can we get down and break below the 50 number with the news from China, and yes, we did it. Okay, so if you guys were in a short in oil today, I'm sure you guys did pretty well. Again, this just continues to collapse. There's the one here, the second one that we didn't get entered, and it just continued to push away today. So again, we hit 50. That's what I wanted. Right now we're at 50.54, so I wanted to come back down to go below 50, but I will be happy later this week. I'm hoping this week. Right now they don't have the oil figures out yet. Actually, the forecast is supposed to be 2.9, and it was 3.5. I wanted to come in. I would have liked if it was closer, but I'm looking for it to come in at like 5 million over. 5 to like 8 million over, I think that would be great. Send this thing down into the low 49s, high 48s, and I'd be extremely happy. Gas down the street was 209 this morning. Loving it. If I can get a break just below $2, I'd be all over it. All right. All right, guys. So that's all I'm going to cover tonight in these pairs. Like I said, I'm not going to cover gold today. I'm going to kind of save that for when we have like a day worth of data, and today wasn't the day for it. So again, there's your oil play. Again, for oil, again, I'm looking for a continued push to the downside, although I think we're going to have a little bit of consolidation tomorrow. As far as good zones in it, though, again, the zone that's marked on this one on the hourly, not a bad zone. Again, you guys can see that it's starting to, there's a test here, and it didn't even make it here. So that is not a bad zone if you have the indicator. Looking at 51.75 to 52 is our short. And again, on that one, you'd be looking to get your 3 to 1 at $51, and then 51.50 where we currently are right now for our 1 to 3 and our 1 to 5. All right. 245 there. That's not too bad. All right, so let's do the drawing real quick. I will give you guys about 30 seconds on this one. So when this goes to 103, I am going to pick the winner, and we will call it a night. And like I said, I had to go a little bit fast today, guys, because I got something I got to do in like 2 minutes ago. I got to jump on a call with somebody real quick. 9, 8, 7, 6. Wait, let's use 9. I can tell you who's missing. FX Show's got in for a second one. Josh is here. Ryan's here. Linda's here. Vanessa's not here yet, although she should have a house soon. No, James. Is James missing? James is lost at Walmart. He's still out there. All right, closing it down at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, winner of tonight's drawing is Lindo. Oh my God. Man, look at this. 2 months in a row. And he gets the first one of February. Look at that. The man who can't win anything. He's gotten 2 in 2 weeks. That is 2 in 2 weeks. Where is he at? Down here, man. He's back up. Even though he blew 200 pip chips at one night to win, he is back up over 200, up to 226. Linda with the 11%. Look at that, man. Look at that. The man's coming alive. All right, guys. I'm out of here. I got to get running. I will catch you guys in the morning. Again, like I said, prepare for a slower day tomorrow. Make sure you guys drop down and look at the lower time frames. Again, the indicator has been money on the hourly charts. Make sure you're looking at the hourlies and the 30 minutes for those small 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio trade setups. They have been great. All right. With that said, guys, I'm out of here. Thank you again, and I will touch base with you tomorrow.